Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to Graygarden, which we have now finished. So I am really pleased with how this one came out. I decided to stick with the core theme of it, the hydroponics garden farm run by robots, and expand that out to provide food and particularly adhesive for my burgeoning settlement network. And I say burgeoning a bit of a stretch because I'm not really there yet. But yeah, really chuffed with how this place came out. Nice and fortified and builds on that robot farm theme. So, if you need a little reminder, this is where we are on the map, pretty much about a third of the way down, north end of Boston and a little bit over to the west. Got a few local locations there, Lexington area and the North Boston area. Yeah, not a bad spot to kind of jump off from for your early game, at the very least. Well, not early, but a little bit past that. Yeah, cool spot. So, modded playthrough and modded save. So, yeah, most of this stuff is basic and all of it should be available either on any platform, so that includes PlayStation players as well, or if you haven't got the exact mod, you've got something very similar that does exactly the same thing. So, nothing to keep anybody out or restrict anybody's ability to do stuff here, so I'm quite pleased with that. A couple of extra bits and pieces there that are outside the building remit as well. So there we go. Do pause and have a little look if you want to check some of that stuff out. Let's have a look. Here we go. All finished Graygarden. Really am pleased with how this place has come out. It's so much fun, and to jump back into Fallout 4 in general and building in Fallout 4 specifically, the nostalgia and the memories, and I wouldn't say exactly the muscle memories come back, but a lot of it has, so quite pleased with that. So up here we have where I started, basically, this corner, which is where I built my little guard post, because behind us here is a main spawn point for enemies in the event of an attack on this place. So good place to stand and cover from, and also tuck a turret on the top there as well. Built mainly using the scaffolding, which hopefully they'll port to 76 one day. And the idea here was originally to make this so that anybody standing on this side of the settlement couldn't really just lean over and shoot in. Clearly didn't work out that well because the drop behind this sort of ledge here is quite dramatic enough to make building up kind of awkward. I've done it a little bit down at this end that we're getting to in a second, but on the whole, it's enough to keep people out, but you know, taller enemies could probably shoot over it. But with that little drop, if you're on the other side, it looks kind of excessive, so there's a bit of a balance to be struck, apart from here where it isn't quite so bad. Yeah, mixture of different junk walls. There's some regular shack walls and some modded walls in there as well. A lot of this stuff comes out of mods as well. But do check the mod list. Unlock Settlement Objects USO is the MVP, as it has long been, but definitely like it. Theoretically, this is supposed to be the front entrance to the settlement, as it's kind of got the main path running up to it, and yeah, I put a big main gate there for that reason, but kind of, well, the fast travel point's at the back, which I could move, but it doesn't really feel like I need to do that, so for now I'm leaving it as is. You see, I've kind of run up to the edge of the freeway overpass here, because if I remember correctly, the other major spawn point for enemy attacks is just on the outside of this post, hence why I've boarded everything up to this point. The idea is that if this place gets attacked, which it hasn't actually done yet, enemies should spawn on the outside of the walls and therefore be kept at bay quite effectively, I hope. But yeah, see, the actual build area will run out underneath and above this overpass here and down the hill quite a chunk. I'll link to the rest of the videos I've done on this place, because I've done separate build videos on parts of this. And yeah, I've decided not to actually build on the overpass. I thought about doing it, but in the end I just decided it was kind of a better fit not to do that. Some railings and stuff around here. A whole bunch of junk fences here that are added in by mods as well to add a little bit of texture and variety to the structure overall. I'm quite pleased with it. There's a whole load of building techniques, particularly around the rug and the pillar, especially the ability to sink stuff into the ground that I do miss from Fallout 4 when I'm playing 76, but I'm rather pleased on the whole with how this place looks. A whole ramshackle mishmash of stuff, and it looks quite solid. I've gone here, by the way, right up to the very edge of the build area on the top edge and on this side. Not quite so much on the other two sides, but because of where the fields are and stuff, and the fact I wanted to lean into the farm aspect, I have made a concerted effort to make sure there's as much room there as I can. So we have a gate here that we're going to head on through in a moment, and this gate is fine on its own. It's sort of added by USO, and it doesn't come with a frame though, and I feel like it did need an upper frame. Wrong button there. Let's try and get the right one. There we go. So I basically use the pillar to manually position some horizontal posts above the top of it there, so we've kind of got a door frame. You can sort of see peeking through the top there. There is our tower. Loads and loads of little bits of farm-related junk and clutter added. A couple of Brahmin in the pen there. One of those Brahmin really doesn't like staying in the pen. I've added some walkways for this sort of area, because I imagine it would get a little muddy otherwise. We'll head on up. Good view from up here. Very, very simple little structure this, but added loads of little bits of fortification to it to make it look scrappy and considerably more shored up and more of a viable deterrent to attack. Get a little overview of the settlement here. It's quite an iconic look, Graygarden, I think. It's one I didn't want to change too much. I still wanted the place to look and feel like Graygarden and keep that spirit of the settlement and the idea and the concept of it in place, but then sort of build it out into a completed version. So I got a little Brahmin pen here. Kind of, most of these are actually free-handed in, these little fences, but they do snap together. And yeah, a couple of troughs there. These are actually Brahmin feed troughs that are supposed to keep the Brahmin close by. It's a bit hit and miss as to whether or not they actually do. Those are the versions from Nuka World in the Dry Rock Gulch set. Obviously you have to have the DLC and then mods to put it into the building menu, but that's where they're pulled from. And here is our corn, mute fruit and potato farm, and the windmill there of course being a water purifier pump thing. So plenty of stuff producing all I need to keep myself stocked up for adhesive, which is the core goal here. Also, none of the robots eat, funnily enough. So it's handy to link this place to your settlement network, because it'll also top up if you haven't got enough food elsewhere, so it's quite cool in that regard. Take a little peek around this side. I'm not going to run all the way down, but you can have a look at the back side of the wall there and the mixture of half walls and bits and pieces we've got on there. This is kind of rugged and scrappy anyway, so I added a couple of extra bits of just stuff that's been kicked back there effectively to make it look like this place has been lived in and occupied for, well, hopefully about the 200 and something years that it has been occupied for. 215 or so or something, because it was set up just before the bombs dropped, wasn't it? So here we go. Not a lot of changes inside the greenhouse. This is a kind of a functioning hydroponics thing with the sprayers up there. Those are all in place anyway. But I've added a few extra plants here and there just to kind of top up my numbers a bit. A couple of extra bits of decor around. Not a lot. I also put doors in, because this place doesn't come with any doors and it feels like it needs them. As you can imagine though, the robots do tend to leave the ones at the other end, that's far end here, open, just because they're in and out all the time, which is fine. I need to get around to picking up a mod that will close the doors automatically, which was dead simple on PlayStation, but for some reason the PC equivalents seem to be needlessly complicated, but we'll get it figured out when I get around to it. There we go, a couple of little bits of decoration there. Just store some food. A whole load more gardening appliances and supplies and things tucked in here. Yeah, didn't need a lot in there. Also, we put too much in there, it'd get in the way of the robots anyway, so. Here we have my little crafting station. So I've basically been using this as my jumping off point on stream and for my exploring of the Commonwealth recently until we move on to somewhere new. So I needed major facilities here like crafting benches. These are all modded benches with a couple of additions to make them functional. Quite happy with how it works. Just built those two roofs together on the floor and then group selected them into the air. This area has obviously chain link and then a couple of other bits and pieces of scrap around it when you start. I wanted to keep that feel. So hence the chain link background to it. But I basically pulled everything apart from the floor out and then rebuilt it up to kind of keep the vibe, but also make it a bit more of a functional space. And it works quite well. Decided to fence off the fields as well, because it just kind of, it felt like they needed enclosing and sort of the settlement needed a bit of compartmentalisation. Just feels a bit more complete that way, I think. Car is a permanent fixture there, and well, I'm kind of fine with that because it's a bit of a feature really, so happy to leave that there. I've removed a load of the junk on the floor here and built my robot workshop here. Makes sense to have a robot workshop in Graygarden, what with it being a robot run settlement, and we're keeping with that theme. Got a specific video on how I approach this one, so links in the top right corner for you for that. I have added one roof that I just sort of group selected with a concrete pillar and sunk into the ground for a little ramp there, and it works quite nicely. I've noticed the robots are quite willing to go in and out and path out of this workbench, so that's quite helpful. Loads of bits of decor around that kind of keep that workbench vibe and the robot vibe. Tried to keep it so that things were unique and not too many repetitive bits and pieces. A couple of modded bits and pieces in there that are from mods that are adding clutter and stuff. Primarily there's a couple of bits of stuff added by the Creation Club as well, so you have to have a rummage through there for stuff if you want to check out some of those bits. But yeah, definitely got that garage feel and successful robot workbench. Down here, I have yet to complete this bit because I have not yet picked up the Caravan trading post from Bunker Hill yet, but we'll get there soon. But this will be my bespoke version of that. The USO mod actually has a rug that functions that way in it once you've unlocked the Caravan trade post, which I haven't done yet. So that way I don't have to use a specific slightly clunky in-game item. I can build my own. And here we've got a place for the Brahmin to hang out on the right, and a little place for Caravan traders and Caravan guards to sit, and for one of them to kip on the sofa there, and a couple of beds in this boxcar that I've just kind of shored up and boarded up and things and turned into a little bedroom before any visiting traders. So they've got somewhere with a little bit of shelter to get a little bit of shut-eye should they need to. Somebody's dipping out and sleeping on the bed, of course, on the sofa rather behind us, but quite happy with that. Sunk in a few junk walls and stuff just to give it a little bit more sturdiness and make it look a little bit more scrappy, but also a little bit more solid at the same time. The back side of the walls here. This whole corner of the settlement is a bit of a nightmare to build on, because even with scrapping mods, a lot of stuff won't delete, so you kind of have to work around a few bits there. Put the truck in there, the pickup truck, just for extra decoration. And here we have the area with the workbench and some solid bits of machinery that are already here when you first move in, so I decided to sort of add to it and put my power armor station in there as well, because it kind of blends in with all the colours and everything, and it's kind of looks like a dumping ground, but it does to start off with, so I decided to stick with that theme. There's Codsworth. It seemed sensible to put him down here, although he's not very cooperative about actually doing any work, so he may have to get the boot later, but we'll see. And here we have my little player home. So for when I stop by, got somewhere to sleep, somewhere to relax, and I quite like this. We've got the little cubicle thing up there that's the main house, and then I just group selected in a couple of floors, sunk them into the ground a little bit, added some stairs, some cinder blocks, and a military tent over the top. This one, the lanterns will actually snap straight onto it, and one of the mods I've got adds this. I can't remember exactly which one, but yeah, quite happy with the addition there. It's definitely cool. Just gives that nice kind of gazebo vibe, somewhere to hang out. And that is a functional cooking station, by the way. Obviously modded. This barbecue here works quite nicely. Add a few extra bits of food and drink and stuff around, so it's a nice place to stop off if I need to. Door works just fine. I had to manually place that. It was a bit of a nightmare using a pillar and group select because it doesn't snap on, but a couple of attempts and we got it. And here we go. Somewhere to type and write if you want to, somewhere to hang out. Nice comfy bed. Again, a couple of modded objects here and there. I do really like the idea of using a fat man as a shelf. That was a great idea for whichever modder put that in. Nicely done. As I say, have a rummage through the mods that I've got on there if you want any of this stuff, because they're definitely worth trying out, and showcase them off at the front if you want to have a look. Got a little, if slightly impractical, sort of guard post here, so you could fire over if anybody should spawn on this side. A decent view down towards the train bridge and Overland station there, and Boston sort of around the pillar. And I've got another one on this side that's a little different, quite like this one. Very, very bespoke and putting individual pieces together to create a nice solid, well-ish structure. Works quite well. I had to put the box in here, partly for decoration, partly just so you get that little bit of extra height to shoot over the remains of the wheels there. But it works. I had a load of extra junk on this side. I wanted to make sure I could path around, but also make it kind of look lived in, like stuff's built up over the last however long, so kind of works quite well for that, I think. A couple of these trees are extra additions that I tucked in, that one for example, but a bunch of them were already here as well. Again, just to make the whole thing look like Just bring back that sort of nature's still functioning around here and the robots have kind of ignored it because it's not actually in their way vibe. This is actually a shack roof and a set of stairs that I've just sort of group selected down into the floor behind the gate here. Just to kind of add a little bit of extra texture, a little bit of extra interest, and sort of smooth the path into the settlement, make it look a little bit more built up. And I quite like it. That's the kind of scrappy, trashy vibe a little bit, but also sort of serves a function, kinda. There we go, back end of the Graygarden greenhouse. Another little turret stand come guard post here, so you can cover the front entrance. And added a couple of flags as well. Yeah, all in all, I'm really quite pleased with this one. As I say, you can actually build up on the overpass if you want to. There's a mod that I don't currently have enabled that will put a lift to get you up there. It's not ideal because it takes you up to the top and you have to kind of go over the top and come back down again if you want to be on the middle level, but it does work. It's just a bit too awkward to build up there and didn't feel necessary and didn't fit the rest of the vibe of the settlement, so I decided not to. I did remove the sofa that's right up top there because we had a bit of a palaver trying to figure out how to get up the top. That was a bit of a nightmare without the lift. But Piper, on the other hand, teleported up there and decided to take a seat on the sofa, and I couldn't find her for ages till I worked out that's where she'd gone. So, yeah, if you happen to head up there and you're building here, I'd recommend deleting that, just so you don't lose any companions to the top of the overpasser. Yeah, all in all, I am quite happy with how this has come out. It's got a nice scrappy wasteland farm vibe, nice and fortified, kept the robot theme going, and should be able to keep the bad guys out. So, hope you folks enjoyed having a little look around my completed Graygarden build. I have to figure out where we're going to go next now. If you did like the video, please consider dropping subs and likes. Do check out the other build videos on this sort of series as well as my Fallout 76 builds as well, if you're into that. There's a whole load of those, so do check them out. Down below, as always, social media links, merch store, channel memberships, all that good stuff if you want to support the channel that way. I very, very much appreciate. And if you get the chance, join us for live streams as well. We are, of course, playing Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and a few other bits and pieces, exploring Stalker at the moment, so that's been fun too. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.